Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the MoonLightin Outdoors podcast. If you hadn't already, please go on over and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as our Instagram and Facebook. Thanks, guys. Got a real fun evening planned here. I got Derek Ramsey, BJ Gorman, and today we are going to talk about land management for the most part. Whitetail land management.
Yes.
Not just mowing your yards, folks. There's a little more, a little more to the industry than just mowing the grass, right?
Yes.
First off, both of these two guys, this is a 2020 season, have had a pretty successful deer season. I, for one, have not, which is okay with me. I'm actually deer-free since 2016, been trying to quit. Not really. I just hadn't had the luck or the skill, the talent. I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't have it. These two guys do. Matter of fact, this is BJ Gorman. Episode number 4 of the MoonLightin Outdoors podcast was all about BJ and his monster 256-pound field-dressed, how many points?
14.
14-point buck. And do you plan on getting that scored?
Yes, as soon as it comes back from the taxidermy.
Okay. So I'm going to be excited to hear about that as well. But without further ado, just let's jump right into the meat and potatoes of it, folks. What do you think?
Yeah.
So both of these guys actively have food plots out. How many locations do you have them?
I've got them in 2.
And Derek?
I'm just doing my home property. So I just had my one location.
One location. So what kind of stuff do you guys have out right now? BJ, you go first.
Right now I have a mix of the it's Antler King. I believe it's called Wild and Out. It's an oat mix. It did okay. I came back in the end of October and put 100 pounds of rye back on top of that. It's about a half-acre plot. Mm-hmm. And the rye took off and really greened up nice. I put another 100 pounds on it the last week of October. Yeah, I put 100 pounds on the first week of October, another 100 pounds the last week, and it's just a blanket of green now.
How tall do you expect that to get before, or when does it stop growing?
It grows all year long. As long as it's above 37 degrees, it grows.
Okay, and if it gets below 37, it just kind of goes dormant?
It doesn't even go dormant. It just stays where it's at. Anything pretty much above freezing, it'll grow.
So it'll just kind of go dormant and then pick it up and drop off?
Every sunny day, it'll start growing.
Wow.
If it drops below freezing, it doesn't really go dormant. It just kind of stops where it's at. It goes on hold. And if the snow melts and there's a sunny day, it'll grow.
And what part of the plant are they eating off of their rye? The whole thing?
The whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, they eat young rye. They don't really eat it when it's tall with seed on it. They eat it when it's young.
Gotcha. And before we started talking here on the show, I understand that you kind of favor planting rye. That's probably your top pick.
Yep.
Derek, how about you? What do you have out right now?
Right now, mostly only have out chicory in our plots. Quick backstory, I guess, where I started with it is bought 12 and a half acres about 3-4 years ago. It was ag field. So, clean slate to start with. And myself and a good buddy have first started off, we planted about 5 acres of clover and done about a half acre of food plot on one side of the 12 and a half acres. And we took, on the other side, we done another small food plot. And what we started out with was on a small plot. We went with some brassicas, some chicory, and then the middle part of a food plot, maybe about a 3/4 acre food plot, maybe a whole acre. We just sampled with your normal go to the local farm store, throw and grow type bags. Insert name of throw and grow bag here. You know what I mean? Just whatever you can go to TSC or Rural King and grab. And then we threw a 7-card stud in there. I remember that one because out of the bags we grabbed out of the store of pre-mixed seed, 7-card stud performed the best as far as what we saw produce. Radishes, turnips, some peas. And then on a far small 1/4 acre plot, we went with purple top radishes, turnips. We just hear a lot of people bragging about that. And what we noticed the first year, we just done a lot of watching, a lot of trail cams, and results will vary between me and you, but we would watch the deer walk through the turnip patch, walk through the 7-card stud, walk through the throw and grow patch, and just nail on the brassicas. It's hot and heavy. They'd keep it mowed down where we didn't even hardly have to take care of it. When it comes up to seed, we usually cut it, which is probably bush hogging it 2 to 3 times a year. So as we've owned the property further and continue to take care of it and do a little bit of changes with the way that we want to see the property turn out, we've extended the chicory plot. We've moved it from that small quarter, half acre, to now we have about a full acre of chicory, and we do mix in some clover with it. And on our land, like I said, we put out that 4 acres of clover. Man, did it perform well? And by I mean perform well is growth. Peak summer on a good wet spring, the clover would get way over knee high, close to waist high.
Wow.
The problem that we had with that is as soon as we went through a drought period, it died out on us, and it completely wilted over and fell over and turned into a desert. I mean, it was a complete kill-off. And it took a couple years to get that clover back. But once again, from watching trail cameras and walking the property, what we noticed is the clover patch looked beautiful, but we didn't see deer eating it. They were bedding in it when it got that tall.
Right.
So great, we gave them bedding. That's, an expensive bedding property. So we changed up a few things and knew that there wasn't much bedding in the area. There's a lot of woods around my property and have some invasive species in the property that we're taking care of. We can get into that later. But as far as food plots go, yeah, like I said, results may vary. Some guys may have great success with turnips, radishes, but brassicas for me in my area seem to be a go-to. So I try to plant that heavy.
What time of year do you first notice the deer, flocking to your, not herding? How about herding to your food plots? What time of year do you typically see that start happening? Either of you?
Mine's all year.
Okay. Not one time more than the other?
No, in the spring they leave a little bit when all the, you got the beans and the corn that are young and green. They'll kind of leave the food plots alone for a little bit. I'm kind of like he is. I've had brassica plots before, and in the springtime, a brassica plot is almost non-existent in the spring.
So this stuff dies off and comes back, or you have to replant it?
No, it's just by the end of winter, at least with my experience, it's eaten down to the ground so much there's just nothing left.
Got it.
It takes a while to come up. That's why I always planted clover in mine as well, and the clover would come up first, get some green, and they would eat the clover and give the brassica time to grow back. And that's kind of the deal with the rye now. I'm planting the rye in the fall. I'm going to plant brassica back into that rye plot. In the spring, I'm doing clover. I'm just going to start making it a yearly rotation.
So I can speak for Derek. Derek's food plot, his house, if you can kind of envision having a so we're from a small town, and then right outside that small town, it turns into like a rural community. And then Derek's property would probably be one of the first, what I would actually consider one of the first country homes on his road, one of the first farm properties.
Yep.
And his food plot kind of goes all the way up right behind these houses.
Correct.
And so being able to put any kind of food plot out and bring deer into that kind of environment would be pretty impressive. Now, BJ, where are you? I need a coordinate, sis. Where are your food plots?
We've got one.
Write this down.
All right. You want a street address?
You can be more specific than that. I need the exact
Okay.
stand location.
I've got one that's a small one that's actually in a cornfield. that I've seeded in between the rows in a cornfield in Rush County.
Now, do you consult with the farmer before you do that, or it doesn't affect anything?
Yeah,
He's fine with it.
I wouldn't want to plant a
Does
bunch
that?
of stuff in there.
What does he have? Do you have to mow it down before he comes?
When he comes in and sprays in the spring, it just kills it off.
It doesn't even bother a thing.
Nope. Actually,
So-
it's good fertilizer for his crop, so he's good with it.
So, guys, that might be something you think about. And actually, I had a cousin of mine, Jesse Posey. He just talked about how he likes to do that between, like, right at the end of the crop season. He'll go in and I can't remember what he planted. His story to tell. Jesse, it's your story to tell, bud. Go ahead.
But yeah, in the rows, and you can do it in beans or corn, either one.
And what were you planting?
Just cereal rye.
Cereal rye.
Yep. Rye grain, not ryegrass. Never plant ryegrass for deer.
Which is loaded in the bags. When you buy the pre-made bags, it's
Yeah.
full of ryegrass.
Yeah, you don't want ryegrass in your mix.
What's the difference between cereal rye and
Ryegrass
grass?
makes it look very pretty, and it grows up, and all your food plot gets gone. You think you have this beautiful, luscious plot out there of green.
Yeah, but they don't. They really don't eat it. It'll be nice and green, but you won't see any deer in it.
Okay.
Rye grain it's a cereal grain that when they grow, they harvest with a combine.
Gotcha. So, what is? I mean, say let's take it a different angle for a minute. We both know that you're pretty similar on what you're doing. Derek doesn't have the agriculture fields, so he's just working. Well, it used to be. It's more of like a retired cattle pasture now, isn't it? Where is that what it used to be?
It was cropland.
Was it crops?
Cropland.
So, but you're not planting into an ag field. You're just simply going. What? How many years ago was that corn?
That was corn. Last time that field was corn was probably 2015.
So was there a lot of groundwork to be able to get to the point of where you could put in a food plot?
No, it was successful right off the bat.
Sweet.
I guess we can get into prep and how we get it to grow. What's his steps, what's my steps. Maybe you'll get something out of it. Maybe we're 100% wrong and we're doing it not the right way. But I've had good success doing it. So
you're number one. If you could only plant one thing, what would it be?
Chicory.
BJ, only one thing.
From my experience, would be rye.
Okay. Now they're going to arm wrestle. No. So chicory and rye, but like Derek was saying before we came on the show, is that what works in his actual neighborhood might be totally different a mile down the road. I don't know.
I've talked to a lot of gentlemen who do their own little food plots, and I don't think I've talked to one person who went chicories. They mentioned some other stuff they throw out. The turnips, the 7-card stud, some kale, but
what is 7-card stud?
7-card stud. That's just it. I can't. Is it still made by Throw and Grow, and that's a bag, or is 7-card stud its own brand?
7-card stud is Evolved Harvest.
Okay, and it's a mix, right?
Yes.
It's their mix. And, if you don't want to take the time to go to your local co-op, which is what I recommend, to buy all your seed individually, mix it and plant it. If you just only have time to go to the store and grab a bag, my personal experience was 7-card stud.
That's a good one.
Performed the best.
I'm Googling this right now.
You can buy it off the shelf at Rural King, TSC, all those places for $20 a bag.
Mm-hmm.
And how many acres would that get you?
About between a quarter and half acre.
I would have said the exact same, quarter to half acre. And man, I had some turnips and radishes out of this world.
It says here forage oats. Forage, I can't say this word. TRIT, triticale.
Triticale.
Oh, triticale. He's French. He knows that word. Winter peas, crimson clover, forage turnips, forage chicory. What's this one here? The D word.
That's dakin radish.
Dakin radish. So, and it says it's $20.
Mm-hmm.
And it recommends 120 pounds of 13-13-13 fertilizer. So, hey guys, doesn't that take away the purpose of organic venison? I'm just having fun, man.
I've been lucky. I've never fertilized a single food plot.
Yeah. So if you need some manure from a cattle farm, let me know. My dad's got a whole bunch of it. I'm sure he'll give it to you real cheap.
I know you're full of it too, so whatever.
So Honestly, though, man, we might look into that.
Mhm.
Cheap fertilizer.
Yeah, I took 2 trailer loads of it about a month ago.
Oh, so you're smart.
Yeah.
Get in on it. So now that you've kind of talked about the different applications, BJ, tell us where you kind of got into it, but I don't think you finished. Is it inside of woods?
It's actually right on the edge of a woods. Obviously, the one in the field is right on the edge of the
Right.
woods. The other one is actually, it's in a valley. It's between a woods and an open pasture, but I'm surrounded by ag fields, so I'm competing with the corn and the soybeans with that food plot, and it's only about a half acre. And this was the first year for this food plot, and it's been pasture for 50 or more years.
Yeah.
And so I had to go in and kill the grass. I had to work it. I ran a disc through it 5 or 6 times to get the ground broke up because it was just hard as concrete. After I got the ground worked up, I went in, I planted oats, winter wheat, and rye, and that started to grow. Then I went in with a pea and bean mix, planted that. That got about 6 inches tall, and they came in and just mowed it down. And then I went back over with the rye. I'm still deciding next year whether I'm going to start a buckwheat rotation or do clover on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not real sure which one I'm going to do yet because there's a lot of bedding. There's a lot of pasture, so I really don't need the bedding aspect of it. So if I do the buckwheat, I can start a rotation with the buckwheat, roll the buckwheat down, plant the brassica or rye, whatever, in the fall, kill the buckwheat off, and it'll lay on top of the seed. The seed will germinate through the top. In the spring, plant more buckwheat again, start a rotation. And if I do that, I should never have to fertilize and never have to work the ground again.
So you have not purchased any fertilizer at this point either?
Yeah, I did when I first started it. I put a half acre, I think I put 300 pounds of triple 12 and 50 pounds of nitrogen, urea.
And so how much is this coming up to per acre?
Per acre.
His wife's sitting in here. Will you cover your ears, ma'am?
Oh, she was with me when I bought it. It's
Okay, well, she's a good sport.
The fertilizer, I just bought the cheap triple 12. I think it was $9 a bag from Rural King, and I buy the urea from the co-op. A 50-pound bag of that's about $24. It's not expensive.
Okay.
With the seed, the fertilizer, the urea, everything to get it started was under $150.
Okay. For how much?
About a half acre.
Half acre. So both, Derek, does all of the stuff that you have out in your food plots, would that actually grow fine in the shade, or does it have to be full sun? Or
It does not have to be full sun.
So here's my scenario. I have a couple of places where I could put a food plot, but I don't have the I don't have a place that's going to get full sun. It's actually going to have to go back in the woods in a relatively open area.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something I could do?
Oh yeah, that's easy. That's when you get into your shade tolerant clovers or rye or anything like that.
It'll thrive. I'm not wasting my time back there. And anything other than deer going to get in there and eat that down?
Maybe if the cows get out.
Don't want that.
Yeah, the cows get out.
Yeah.
They're not eating much, but there's rabbits constantly running through.
Yeah.
My patches.
That's what I was kind of getting to. I was wondering if rabbits are. I mean, it'd take a lot of rabbits to.
Once you do a food plot, like if you establish and it's there a couple years, you'll notice you'll have squirrels in it. You'll have a lot of rabbits in it.
Groundhogs.
Groundhogs.
That probably helps full circle, though, doesn't it? I mean, it probably helps other wildlife feel more comfortable.
It does. Like here, we don't have the turkeys, but down in Rush County, where I plant the one along the field edge, I have a lot of wild turkeys in there after I plant the rye.
They tear it up?
Yeah, they love it.
The young stuff, really, don't they?
Yeah.
So I was sitting in my tree stand today, and all I saw and heard was turkeys all day. So I'll have fun. I'll have fun with that. So if there's one thing that I wanted to do and I don't have a lot of money, you recommend just going with Derek's going to say just plant you out a little lot of chicory and wherever you can put it and don't fertilize it. And BJ's going to say a little lot of rye and maybe spread some manure on it.
Or do both. Do a half and half and put a camera on it and see which one they like.
There you go.
I mean, that's how you figure it out.
So I'm going to turn this over to you guys and just have you powwow back and forth about the process. You can whatever that you think the folks back home are going to want to know, because I'll tell you right now, I know nothing about a food plot. I've never put one out.
Okay, so I've never talked to BJ about his process. He's never asked me about my process. We just, heard what we heard about what we're planning. I'm kind of curious on talking to someone else about the prep they go through, where they start. Okay, you have this bare ground or you have this grass. I'm sure a lot of guys out there have a little quarter-acre spot somewhere that they, has always been wondering, would that be a good food plot? Okay, if that's you and you have your equipment you currently have, what's your process go through? I mean, where do you start? And I'm not talking about time of year, because whatever. But what's your process? Where do you start and where do you end up?
Like with the one I started this year, I didn't till it. I have a tiller, but with that being pasture for so long, had I tilled that and brought that ground up, there would have been so many weeds growing in it, it would have been unmanageable. So that's why I went in, I killed it down, just did a Roundup burn off on it. I let it sit. I did that in about the 1st of June. About the end of July, I came in, and the growth that had come up, I sprayed it again. Then I ran a disc through it probably 3 or 4 times, just working the top, about the top 2 inches of ground. Didn't want to go deep with it. Let that sit, and about the end of August, came in, ran it again, let it sit for 2 weeks. Weeds started to grow. I sprayed it off, then came in and did my first planting. And that, because if you run a tiller through it and just plant, whatever you plant's going to grow, but you're going to get so many weeds coming up through that because there's weed seed within the first top foot of that soil from years and years and years of weeds growing on the tree edges.
I love it. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I'm glad you went there because I was going to go there. I mean,
yeah, the people that think you can just go into a pasture, till it up, plant a food plot, they're really, really wrong. It doesn't work like that.
That would have been me. That would have been me that did that. Guys, as you're talking here, I just had a heck of an idea, and I think we should do this. I'm gonna challenge you each, okay? I want each of you to put a food plot out at my place. And
I got to work that day.
And we'll see which one of you can attract the most deer. And I'll be the judge, okay? And then the winner doesn't have to help me drag my deer.
I like it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
And then you guys, whoever won, would definitely get bragging rights. Are you down?
You still have those invasive species seeds?
I do.
We're good. Oh, yeah, we're good. We're good.
I thought that was a heck of a deal.
Yeah,
Black locust,
Hey,
autumn olive, bush honeysuckle.
I've got about a 50-pound bag of rose bush that.
Yeah.
I don't
Tree of
need
heaven. We're putting all this good stuff in there for you,
Where I
bud.
hunt, you don't have to worry about rose bushes. They're already there. So, man, I guarantee you someone out there would have fell for that. They'd have been like, you know what? I bet I'll be the winner. I'm like, okay, I'll be the judge. No, guys, for real, though. So, Derek, your process is pretty similar.
It's pretty similar.
You don't have a tiller, though.
I have a tiller.
You do have a tiller?
So the first thing when I bought this property 4 years ago, it got excited. You're like a kid in a candy store. You just want to play with your tractor and all your equipment, right? So we have a 4 or 5 foot 3-point tiller. So once again, it was an ag field, and I knew I was going to put out an orchard in it. Okay. I wanted an orchard for the family as well as a large tree planting for deer as well, not only for me, but for my kids when they get older. So a lot of the trees I'm planting aren't for me. You know what I mean? It's not for me. It's for my kids. So I got excited. I put the tiller on the back of the old Kubota, and I probably did not get 1/8 of an acre tilled, and I had already broke 3 tines off the tiller. And that set of tiller tines, I want to say it was $480.
Wow.
So took the tiller over to the garage, welded them back together, runs fine, unhooked the tiller, never ran it again. So that was my experience. I mean, dude, 1/8 of an acre, break 3 tines, that's nuts. So instantly aborted the tiller situation, and that's the reason. So I hadn't learned yet about the seed bed, the weed bed that you're bringing stuff up. So that's why I aborted that process. So then let's get back to the food plot area. So I can't take all credit for the food plot. have a friend, Daniel, who helps on everything out there. Let him hunt. Good guy. Anytime I need him out there to work, he's out there to work for the most part, unless I'm digging post holes. But I want to say I probably bought 12 or 14 trees, and he complained and complained. So now I have a 3-point auger as well. You know, he doesn't complain as much now, but it's not fun to hook up. But anyway, yeah, food plot. Start out, you know, round up my plot, let it sit for about 2 weeks, round up again. So I've done one application of Roundup, and I've had much greater success with 2 rounds of Roundup. Take the disc behind the Kubota. I do not have down pressure, just the weight of the tiller of the disc. I have an 8-foot disc behind the Kubota, so I have railroad still, you know. So 2 passes with the disc turned all the way in, it'll give you a pretty good penetration. And you, depending on what you're planting, that's one thing you got to look at too. Different seeds require different depths. So, you know, if you get a 2-inch disc and you plant some seeds, you know, some people say some seed only requires a 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch, and some requires a deeper seed bed. So, you know, check on that. I don't know all those.
Yeah, clover's one of them.
It's deep or real shallow?
No, clover you want within a 1/4 inch.
Yeah, so just basically lay it on the top and let it rain.
It's better to let the rain or frost seed it.
Yeah, so and depending on what we're planting, we've looked that information up by then. So we do 2 things. If we want a deep seed bed, we will instantly seed it. And then we do a couple different things. Had a cultipacker. People love them. They want to pay top dollar for them. Ran a cultipacker. Had success. And
Ran a what?
Cultipacker.
I don't even know what that is.
It's got most of them are steel wheels.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I know what it is.
It packs the.
Yeah. Okay.
Packs
my bad.
Packs the ground under. People love them for food plots. Some people tell you that they cost $100 a foot to go buy them. I can't sell them for that. You know, I don't know where these people are saying that, but anyway. But we have had, you know, a lot of people won't have a cultipacker, right? So we have had success with just a 4-foot yard roller right behind the tractor. I've cultipacted it and I've used a roller, and I can't tell the difference. It's worked out real well. For those seed beds that need to be shallower, if I've dissed it too deep, I have an 8-foot drag. I'll pull behind the Kubota. A drag, it's 8 foot wide, just has little forks underneath of it that it'll grab any weed bed, any weeds that you've dissed up. It'll break up the ground at the same time, and it will take, you know, if I diss too far and got, you know, a 2 or 3 inch deep through the disc, it'll, you know, shallow it up, you know, make it only like little 1/4 inch divots through there with the drag. Then I'll do my planting. Then I'll do my rolling. And a lot of the stuff I've planted is good for about 3 years. You know, every 3 years you got to reseed. I've been doing frost seeding. I've had great success with it. Chicory's one of those. They say it'll last about 3 years. About every other year I've gone out there, and you can buy chicory from your local co-op, which I recommend. I think Daniel's been buying the chicory. I think you buy a 5-pound bag for $35. And if I had to guess, that 5-pound bag, if you started the new plot, would probably do 2 acres. I mean, it goes a long way. It's especially if you mix it, sounds like you do the same thing. We mix our chicory 50-50 with clover. Yep. And by the end of the year, by the, you know, not the calendar year, but end of February, March, you know, when we've had our snows, there's nothing left. Deer, you go out there and deer have pawed all the snow back. You go out there in the middle of a 6, 8, 12-inch snow, they have cleared out the land where that chicory is and ate it down to nothing.
Wow.
So
neither of you have elaborated a whole lot about beets and turnips and radishes. I heard it come up, but tell me about what's your experience with them.
I've done them on my personal food plot in my woods a couple years ago. I planted a mix from Whitetail Institute that it was the wintergreens. And then I came back with their radish and turnip mix, and it did okay. It was a first-year food plot, so it had some weed in it. But the deer ate it, but the turnips and radishes never really got full size. I got it planted a little bit late, So instead of being the size of softballs, they were between golf ball to baseball size, which is still okay. They ate most of them, but they didn't really hit that until way after deer season. It was in the January, 1st of February, which is okay because it maintained them through the winter. You know, it's not all about hunting on the plot.
Yeah.
In fact, we don't.
It's keeping the herd there.
Yeah, we most of the time we don't hunt the food plots. We hunt the access trails between the food plots, or between the food plot and the bedding. If you hunt over a food plot very much, now if you have a big food plot, a lot of deer, you can do that. But like in our case, we have smaller deer numbers. If you hunt on a food plot, you kill one deer, you've educated the rest of the deer on that food plot, and they won't come back until after dark every single time. So,
Purple top turnips, got them from the co-op, planted about a 1/4 acre patch. They grew very well. People say that, at least what I read, people say that you got to have a good hard frost, and deer will just fall in love with them and tear them up. Mine weren't being touched. We were watching the deer walk through them, and so got online. A couple guys go, "Hey, take your shovel, pop them up, set a couple on top. Deer will see them." Now, so what I got into is in March, April, May of the next year, I just had a rotten smelling because they all rotted. I mean, it was just a horrible smell of rotten turnips. And so me and Sarah went, never again. Not doing it.
Your place is notorious for that.
Not doing it. Not doing it. I tell
Smelling
you,
funny.
I tell you, I think the plot that you and I put out last year,
Yeah.
the kill plot after deer season, that was a good plot. That was a lot of fun. But we also put out sunflowers. We put them out for birds. And I don't know if anybody's put out a small sunflower patch. And by small, I say a 1/4 acre, which sounds decent. Man, the deer and the rabbits destroy them before they can ever get up.
Really?
We had a very hard time. I say out of a 1/4 acre, man, we might have had 20 or 30 stalks make it up. I mean, it was pathetic.
Wow.
And so we thought we were going to have this great, just a place just to feed the birds, you know what I mean? And didn't work out.
Okay. So as you guys were talking, I was just thinking, and I'm hoping that other people would have these same questions. That's why I'm going to ask them. But so, for example, one of the places that I have in mind that I would like to bring you guys out and help me put one of these together is, like I said, it's down in the woods. It's in a valley. And then I have a nice stand location that's up on the hilltop, so I'd be looking down over that. It'd be pretty awesome. But the trees are sporadic, so you kind of have to go through around the trees and stuff. Is that going to be possible with dragging and discing and all that? It's not going to tear up the equipment.
If you're going to do that, you might be better off to just go in with a backpack sprayer, spray it, and just frost seed it and not worry about disking the ground.
Don't do anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you can't get in there, it's hard. So my tractor's it's a 48 horse Kubota front end loader, which I can take off.
Yeah.
But man, you get a tractor of that size with an 8-foot drag behind you, 8-foot disc behind you. You get yourself in a situation in there.
Yeah. See, that's kind of why I bought the tractor that I've got. I've got a Coyote tractor. It's a 25 horse. It's a CK 2510. I only need 54 inches to get between trees. It's a narrow tractor.
I have an application for each of you then, so we can still have that tournament.
There we go.
Yeah, I have a place that you'd fit in just fine, and for you too. So this is going to be awesome.
I tell you what I did too this past year. You get tired of. I know they sell quick implement attachments, 3-point attachments. Mm-hmm. I just said screw it, forget it. I went out and bought another tractor. I went out and bought an old 8-in, and my bush hog goes on it. You always need to bush hog something, and I was tired of taking bush hogs on and off, and so I just went out and bought a tractor just to my bush hog too.
I've been looking at them.
Dude, that's it. So. I need a bush hog, get on my tractor, it's on it. Yep. So I bought a tractor just to pull the bush hog.
Yeah, our we do a lot of work with our tractor in the spring and summer. We do mowing, do a couple food plots for other people, a lot of garden tilling. But with the mowing, I'm looking for an older tractor like that for the same thing, so I can hook the mower up and just leave it on there. Yeah. I have a quick hitch, but it's still time unhooking, hooking up, fighting the PTO shaft.
Exactly, man. You can pick up those old 8-ins, for $1,500. You know, they're reliable. They'll run forever. They're easy to work on. So
that's pretty neat. So is there anything that we're missing out here that we ought to bring up that we need to talk about before we say that we've dabbled in the?
You know, I think as far as food plots go, I've given you about everything I've done there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm doing other things with my property. You know, there's a lot of woods around. There's a lot of state property down the road from my land that is not huntable. Deer are comfortable over there. So a lot of the other stuff that I'm doing on my property is some tree plantings, specifically around wildlife, stuff that benefits numerous different species, just not deer. You know, squirrels, setting up bedding areas. I planted a lot of switchgrass, which is great bedding area.
That's one thing I was gonna bring
And
up.
so, yeah, you know, you have the food plot. Okay, so you're feeding them. What can you do to help hold them?
Yep.
So, you know, these trees are sure they're going to take 5, 10, 15, 20 years, depending on which tree you're looking at in my field for it to get mature and, you know, that woods to grow up. So I've been doing some switchgrassing, and switchgrass is expensive. They do say to do a prescribed burn on it every 4 years or so. But my personal property, I went with bar rock or cave rock switchgrass. It's salty on the price. Man, I want to say I paid $100 for a very small bag, and if you had it in your hand, it's almost like a powder. It's unreal looking at it. So we done the ground prep the exact same way that we said we did. A couple rounds of Roundup, disking, and we planted little blue stem. And some, we might have done some little blue stem, some big blue stem, and we done the switchgrass. So the first couple years we had the field, you have this beautiful looking field grass grow, but as soon as winter hits, it just falls over. It's down, so you have no bedding for anything. But since we got this switchgrass in, we planted a row. I want to say that row was 15 to 20 foot wide by 120 yards long. That was a couple years ago. That row has just cross-seeded the whole rest of that field over there. There's probably 4 to 5 acres of that field over there that we just don't touch anymore. We don't bush hog. We might run one bush hog row down it, and man, it's beautiful. It stands up tall. It's 3 foot tall, 4 foot tall in its second year now, and you get a snow. It falls over in the snow, you know, under a big snow. But man, when that snow's melted, it's right back up. It's beautiful. You know, you just got to be careful with it because switchgrass is something that you can overseed. And if you get it thick, a rabbit can't even get through it. You know, rabbit cannot bust its way through it. And I'm trying to do the habitat. I know it's a very small piece of property, guys. Try to expand it the best you can, but, you know, there's only so much around it you can get. But I'm trying to do the best I can on that little piece of property. So I'm trying to do stuff for rabbits, squirrels, whitetails, you know, so I'm trying to think of everything when I put it. But yeah, you put it too thick, and you know, small game can't get through it. But deer love it; they bed in it. And you know, I don't say a couple more years, that stuff will be 6, 7 foot tall. By that time, we're probably looking at a burn. I've never done a prescribed burn, so something we're going to have to do some research in. I don't know if you've done a prescribed burn. Never done one, so you know, that's something else that we can talk about at a later time.
Yeah. All I know is that switchgrass is really good at hiding dead coyotes too.
Yes. Yeah. I when I shoot my coyotes, they die before it gets to the switchgrass.
So here's the deal, guys. This video is actually up on our YouTube channel. If you guys want to watch the video, for the longest time, my crosshairs are watching this coyote for, 10 minutes. Well, Derek's trying to find his in his scope because there was 2, and I thought, let's just take them both.
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, when I watch this video back now, it's like playing the Jeopardy theme song.
Yeah. I'm not going to disagree with it. You were right. I thought I was on his coyote. And because coyote. So
that's cute.
when my dog was moving, his dog he's like, "Is yours moving right now?" I'm like, "Yeah." Mine stopped. Well, our dogs were probably 20 yards apart, and they were in sync. And finally, we decided when mine started moving and his didn't. And we 1, 2, 3'd them, and Justin was successful this time.
I hit my coyote.
And he shot when he was supposed to. Man, that was some good times.
We had a blast. That was your birthday.
That was December 26th.
December 26th.
Yep.
He killed.
That was
his first coyotes on his birthday.
Yep.
2 of them.
Yep. It was a blast. It's a blast out there doing that.
Yeah.
And now thanks to Justin, thousands of dollars gone. Thousands gone.
That's me and deer hunting.
You know,
right there.
Yeah.
not only thousands of money, the time. You know what I mean? You work Monday through Friday. I'm lucky. I got work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 job. Dude, me and Justin's out there on a Wednesday night, dude, at 3 o'clock in the morning hunting his coyotes. You know, and I know he has to go to work the next morning. I'm going to work the next morning. But, it's good times.
That'll be a whole nother show. We're going to have to get BJ into it at our level. And he's
Yeah, I've only been a few times, and it's not to level you guys. I mean, we literally just sit out in the pasture with the ARs, and we might see one, we might not.
That's how it goes. That's not fun for you?
Oh, I didn't say it wasn't fun. I just don't do it as often.
No, seriously though, that coyote hunting is a real rush. But you know, this deer hunting for me, guys, back to what we're talking about here initially, I've got to do something different for my properties. The deer herd, we got hit by EHD, and I have to do something different. I have not killed a deer since 2016. By choice. I've had little bucks come by, and I've had does come by, but I got to do something.
You know, and I know your situation. You have young kids as well, and if it's property that you know that you're leasing or a family member owns, that you know your family's going to be able to pass down generations of hunting here. Food plots are great, but with my property as well, I've planted hundreds of trees, knowing that, okay, these trees are not going to do anything for the next 5, 10, 15 years. But eventually, I know some of your property, Justin, as the crow flies, is 3 to 5 miles away. It's not far.
Probably.
Same thing with you.
Yeah.
So my goal is that you guys don't have any deer in 3 to 5, 7 years, because, I have this beautiful 12-acre of woods, and I laugh. But anyway, persimmons, chestnuts, apples, oaks, pears, plums. My friend Daniel that hunts with me, he just ordered, I want to say 600, maybe 800 trees. We've got a lot of screening going up.
What's going to happen? He's going to. You ever read the story about Brer Rabbit?
Yeah.
He's going to end up with a big old briar patch over there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's going to have it so daggone growed up.
You ain't going to be able to shoot nothing.
So here's the thing. I got to thinking, too, because he was talking about the crow flying and how he's about, I'd say, 3 miles tops from me.
It's not far.
And you're
I'm across the road.
And you're on the other side of me. So I'm just going to be in the middle and catch him coming
I like it.
to and from your place. I'm not going to do nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to clear a nice little lane down the middle of the property where they need to go.
I know it's not far. Was that 2 years ago? You had a buck on your camera all year long.
Mr. Krabs.
Yep. And I was taking my daughter to a friend's house who lives about across the road from me where you hunt. And on Mill Road, that buck ran out in front of me about 2 days before that. And I kind of forgot about it. That it happened. I'm like, man, that's a nice little buck there. And it ran off and it left my mind. I never even thought about it again. 2 days later, that buck and 2 more nice bucks came in on me. I probably saw 18 deer within 5 minutes of each other. Man, it was hot in there that day. And that's the buck I ended up taking out. And I probably didn't recall that deer running out in front of me 2 days before for months after that. But that tells you, we're right down the street from each other.
I sent him trail cam pictures of his buck.
That was before we were, we knew each other.
Yeah.
But we weren't friends.
We didn't like each other.
What year was that?
18.
18.
I probably have pictures of that buck.
Do you still have all your stuff?
Yeah, I have all the pictures.
He'll have to give you a picture because I guarantee you'll have it too.
I bet so.
I bet full circle.
Yep.
So, guys, is there anything else? We're at 43 minutes. Anything we want to add here?
The only thing I can say is if you're going to do a food plot, it's best to start small. And whatever you do, don't overseed a food plot. If you overseed it, you're not going to have a food plot. That's the biggest thing. If they say put 2 pounds per acre of a seed, don't think, well, I'm going to put 3 and make it thicker, because it will not grow. It'll stun itself out. It'll get about a 1/4 inch tall and die. If anything, put less than what you need. Just don't overseed a food plot. That's one of the biggest things.
And guys, here's the thing. Both of them don't claim to be a professional at all. They just said that this is what works for them and their number of years in experience. But I guarantee you, if you reach out to us and you want to reach BJ or Derek, don't call me. I don't have a food plot. Call me in a couple of years because I'll be mooching off these guys. and I can tell you what I'm doing. But if you want to reach out to these guys, I guarantee that they'd be more than happy to talk with you. So just reach out and let us know what's going on. We good, guys? Anything we need to add?
Hey, we're good.
Yeah, I think
We're
that's
good.
it.
Thanks for tuning in. MoonLightin Outdoors podcast, talking about land management. We're out, guys. See ya.